Hi everyone, welcome to our Eating Disorder Hope Google Hangout, and we're so glad that you could join us tonight for a great discussion we have lined up. We have some great panelists live here with us tonight to discuss some wonderful resources that are available for college students, and particularly we're going to be talking about the SPEAK program. So we have with us tonight Freddi, Greg, and Rachel. And if I could just ask each of you to briefly introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about your role with SPEAK, and then we'll roll into some specific questions about the organization itself. So Greg, if you could start, welcome to our Google Hangout, and if you could just briefly introduce yourself to us.
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Greg Rheault. I'm director of the Center for Student Engagement at GW, and I've had the great privilege of working with SPEAK since its creation in the role of their staff advisor. So in that role, I obviously have the chance to work with the students as they continue to develop their organization. I get to mentor, support, help connect students who are both trying to discover what resources are available to sustain recovery, but also help connect students who are in recovery who are interested in advocacy to this amazing group of students who continue to be changing our campus year after year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Rachel, if you could maybe go next and just tell us a little bit about yourself as well and just your involvement with the SPEAK organization.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm a psychology student. I'm a second-year student at the George Washington University. I'm the president of SPEAK, and I joined September 2014 when I was a first semester freshman, and I became vice president, and this past fall I became president of the organization.
Wonderful. We're so glad to have you with us tonight. And last but not least, Freddi, if you could just introduce yourself to us, please.
Okay, so my name's Freddi. I'm a junior at GW, and I'm studying psychology and criminal justice. I found SPEAK when I was a freshman, my second semester. That's when I was like first really starting. And I was one of the people that I got on the email list, and then I realized that there was this great group of people that had something in common with me, and I was really struggling that year. So I like to think of SPEAK as kind of like a light in the darkness that I was in. So I'm just really proud to be a part of these group of people.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Well, like I said, we're so honored to have all of you with us tonight and to continue promoting awareness about what it is that SPEAK is and what you guys do. So thank you for being here. So let's roll into some questions about SPEAK itself. Greg and Rachel, can you maybe tell us a little bit, what does SPEAK actually stand for, and what is the organization, and how did it start?
Rachel, why don't you start with the what you stand for, and then I can fill in some of the back history.
Yeah. So SPEAK stands for Students Promoting Eating Disorder Awareness and Knowledge, and we're primarily an advocacy group. We say we're not a support group, but we are a group of supportive people, and I think that's kind of what the draw is for, at least for me and for a lot of other people.
And to give you a little context on where SPEAK came from, about 5 years ago, a group of Masters of Public Health students started an organization trying to raise awareness on campus about eating disorders, their prevalence, as well as just connect people to initial resources for more information. Once that cohort of master's students moved on, there really wasn't an organization to be left. It kind of went to be an inactive group. We had Laura Porter, who was one of our students who came back from some time away and said, I really want to do something to raise more awareness about eating disorders on our campus. And we said, we have this inactive student organization. Would you like to zap some life back into it? And Laura and some of the students that year came together and started building a group of incredibly supportive students, and different from the initial organization founders who were really health educators and really interested in public health. What we find now is the people who are naturally drawn to this organization are students who are in recovery or who are, struggling or know or have friends or family members. They have a real personal connection to it. And that has really sustained the growth of the organization over the past 3 years to where it is today, and continues to grow because it is such a attractive option for students who really don't know how to relate to other people to kind of go what Freddi was saying earlier, when you feel like you're kind of the only one really going through something and you don't have others to connect to, an organization like Speak is just a fantastic way to take your recovery and become an advocate to help others.
Absolutely. And I think eating disorders is such a prevalent issue on college campuses. And, I think as there's been greater awareness, there are more resources available, but, a lot of students might not know what's available on their campus. So it's just so exciting to hear about what you guys are doing. So just to clarify, is Speak specific to George Washington University, or are there new chapters starting at different schools?
So currently this version of Speak is specific to George Washington University as a student-led organization. There are other programs that use the acronym that are based out of health centers or counseling centers that are more either support groups or information or promotional awareness campaigns run by health offices. This is a unique student organization of its type.
Great. And Freddi, I'd love to hear your perspective on things as a student who's been part of it, and Rachel as well. What impact would you say that Speak has had on your community at George Washington University, and specifically, for those who are struggling with eating disorders?
Well, when I joined, I met a lot of new people who were also, they hadn't heard of it before, and then they came to a lot of, the meeting that I first went to was a lot of other people's first meetings, so they kind of had similar perspectives, like, wow, I didn't know this was here, this is great. And also Speak isn't just primarily focused on this very small group of people. It has a bigger impact on campus. For example, we had an event right before winter break called Light the Night, where we were just lighting these little candles with bags and wrote something on it, like I speak for fill in the blank. So mine was I speak because I found recovery, and it just engaged a lot of students. It wasn't just us, it was tons of people came to the event, and it was just really great because people knew we were there and we weren't just some tiny group unheard of. So people had a chance to find us that night, and a lot of other events we've done too.
That's amazing. So it's really neat to hear how it's not just helping those who are struggling, but it's really just creating awareness about, a disease that's deadly and, that so many people struggle with. Yeah. Rachel, would you add anything to that? During your time with Speak, what impact have you seen this organization make on your community?
I think going off of what Freddi said, especially with the event that we have Light the Night, it's just been wonderful having people come up to me or to other members of the organization and say just how happy they are that an organization like the one that we have at school exists. And the fact that they know that they have a place to go to, and it's been kind of since I joined, it's been a whirlwind, at least for me, when because of the advocacy work that we do, we have people come up to us and ask us for where they can get resources or what we can do, and they know that we are a resource for them and for the campus at large. And I think all of us in the organization, I think we all have a voice and a place in the group and in our community, and I think that really shows in terms of who comes and approaches us, and just the fact that people feel comfortable, because we're not, none of us are the same. We don't have the same eating disorder. We don't have the same story, and I think a lot of different people relate to the organization in different ways, and I think that really has contributed a lot to the way that our school community sees us.
Absolutely, and I think diversity is such it's part of eating disorders, and it impacts countless of people regardless of age or, what gender or sex you are. So I think that it's amazing that your organization kind of mirrors that as well. You mentioned some of the events that you're doing, but how does your organization function in terms of advocacy? What are you guys doing in the community to help raise awareness?
I think that right now the big thing is obviously NEDA Week that's coming up. We're having a lot of events. The big one that always draws a lot of attention is Trash the Scale.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, at school, we're not literally allowed to trash the scales, which I'm sure all of us would love to do.
Right.
But we sort of have like these mini scales out, and people would just write all over them like positive messages, and people would stop and just sort of like out of curiosity and just comment on just how empowering it is and write something. So we have things like that. We have a lot of meet and greets. We have a speech by this young woman who wrote a memoir on her experience with sexual assault that sort of resulted in her developing an eating disorder. So we have like a series of events that I think draw a lot of attention in order to get the community at GW involved, like at large. We actually just started a blog in January that allows students to submit work of, poetry, art, just any sort of creative work on, mental illness. It doesn't have to be eating disorders, but I mean, a lot of it is focused on eating disorders, body image. So I think that that's a pretty big way for us to do outreach and advocacy.
Yeah, that is just amazing to hear of all the things that you guys are doing. It's wonderful. So Greg, maybe you could shed some insight on this next question. For other students who are on different college campuses, across the nation and who are interested in doing something similar to Speak on their own campus, what are some ways that they can get started? Because, obviously there's a lot of technical things involved, I'm sure, with going through your college campus. And would you have any insight for that for any of our viewers who are interested in doing something similar to Speak?
Were you hinting at bureaucracy at a university? No, absolutely. I think Speak GW is really unique as a student organization, and it found its home really among our other 500 student organizations that we have on campus, and we have students who are really involved. So many campuses have student activities offices or other centralized student affairs offices that allow students to form or create organizations. What I would suggest doing to any student who's interested in doing this type of advocacy work on their campus is, finding an administrator that you can kind of connect with. My personal background as a person who's now 8 years in recovery naturally lent itself towards wanting to move mountains to help make this group thrive and succeed and grow over the years. And the more people you talk to, the more you realize there are people everywhere in the university who are willing to step in and support and advise and help, navigate some of the processes that might be more challenging on some campuses. So I would try to connect with somebody that could serve as an advisor, whether it's someone in their mental health services or counseling centers or in a student activities office. And then Speak GW has a fantastic online presence, their website, their social media. That's, when you talk about advocacy, through their social media is where you see kind of a lot of the types of events that they do. Network and connect. The number of students and staff who have reached out to our students and said, we're interested in this. How did you make this work? Reaching out, and they'll provide copies of constitutions to be able to get established as a student organization, any kind of calendars of events or materials. It really is a student-driven initiative here, and I think that's why it's been so successful, is because every year it evolves further from maybe initially being more focused on the awareness side to then advocacy, more of the supportive, more social environment. So it will be unique on every campus, but I would suggest if you're a student watching this and tuning in that's interested in doing this, to start by, you can reach out to our Speak GW chapter or, connect with an advisor on campus.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that feedback. And I think that's really encouraging to hear that, if someone is passionate about this, and like you said, it's often a lot of people who are in recovery themselves and looking for ways to connect with others and give back, that it's absolutely possible. So we appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, Greg. And just for our next question, I'll just put this out there for all three of you because I think you all have a unique perspective on this, but what, encouragement or advice would you share with a college student who might be struggling with an eating disorder and just finding it difficult to talk about it or get help? What would be your feedback? I think Freddi, we can't quite hear you. I'm so sorry. I see you talking, but are you still with us? There we go. Oh, we lost her. Sorry. Okay, hopefully she'll be able to join back in. But Rachel, if you want to jump in. Oh, Freddi, I think you're back.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
You're here. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think I saw you starting to answer the question. So if you want to jump in, please feel free.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for me personally, I found that it is very hard to talk about to anybody, especially if, let's say, you're a first-year student or even a second-year student, you don't know anyone that well, you don't know where the groups are. But like I'm very blessed to have basically Speak kind of found me, and that was great. But I think the best thing for anybody to do is whether it's, you know, a university counseling center or a roommate or a friend or a professor that you trust, say something to somebody, because it's so much better than sitting alone in your darkness and just kind of like ruminating in that, because that is the worst thing you can do to yourself, is not talk to people about it. And also talking about it invites others to understand it more and to like destigmatize it just a little bit, because I think that's also a big issue. People don't talk about it because of the stigma, and if you kind of lighten some of that, it makes it a lot easier for other people to come out and talk about their story.
Thank you so much, Freddi. I appreciate you sharing that. And Greg or Rachel, would you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Freddi said it beautifully. I think the most powerful thing that I have found is really my voice. I came into college and I knew that I wanted to go into psychology. I knew that I wanted to go into eating disorder psychology because of the experiences that I've had, because, you know, being in recovery. And I sought out an organization where I could finally sort of be honest and be authentic with myself and with other people. And that was Speak. And I'm so glad to have met and been just welcomed completely by Laura Porter, who is the president, and by so many other people in the organization. And I found that I created a sort of family on campus that was, you know, that was already there for me. I just sort of had to find it. And whether that's, you know, at a counseling center, at another organization, I think the first step is really I think it's approaching people, and I think it's just really discovering your own voice, and that ability would, I think, take people really far and hopefully lead them to a place of recovery.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And finally, Greg, would you have anything to add to that?
I would just say, having, sought help when I was in college myself and feeling like it was a process that I went through alone and didn't have anyone, and now seeing the abundance of support and resources and students who are willing to actually talk about it. And, they really form a community of students who aren't just surviving college. They're thriving, and they're thriving in recovery. And so the advice that I would give to a student who's struggling or feeling like they can't really connect or talk to someone is know that you are surrounded by people who are experiencing similar troubles, downturns and issues that you may have had, but who found through professional support, through reaching out and talking to someone that they trust and care about, and then making a commitment to themselves to actually want to thrive and not just survive, that campuses have the resources and support available. And there's also, and I think almost more importantly, a community of students on most campuses who would coalesce around this and support you as well.
Absolutely. And thank you to all three of you for sharing that, because I think it's a very important message for people to hear and to understand, especially for a disease by nature that's very isolating, that you can speak out about it and you can connect to help and resources. So we appreciate all the encouragement that you three have shared. And kind of just in closing, you three have such great perspectives and just beautiful messages of hope that I am so excited our viewers have the opportunity to hear. What is your hope, for Speak in terms of, what you want to reach in someone who's struggling with an eating disorder or the eating disorder community in general? Where do you see this going? What are your hopes? Or not even just apart from Speak. I know, like Rachel, you're saying you're interested in eating disorder psychology, so it sounds like this is something you want to pursue long term. what are you hoping to share with someone who might be struggling with an eating disorder today?
I think for me, especially for myself, what was most helpful was just knowing that I wasn't alone. I think that's just really important. Even if it's, people are tuning in now and they see us talking about it, and that's the first step. Um, I feel like that's pretty profound, just knowing and seeing that there's a place outside the walls that your eating disorder creates for you and that your mental illness creates for you, and there's a life beyond that. Um, I think that would be the message that I would hope that people would gain.
Thank you. Freddi, how about you? Any thoughts about that?
Definitely agree with everything Rachel said. And I guess my hopes for Speak as an organization is that we just continue to grow and reach more people. Like I would love it to, find more people struggling and just bring them in because, they'll have people and they'll know they're not alone, especially at college. College is
Freddi, I think we lost you again. I'm so sorry. We heard the beginning part of your very encouraging message. Okay, hopefully she'll be able to join back in. But Greg, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure, yeah. When I think of where this organization was when it was founded initially, how it went away and how it's come back and really just grown over the years, my hopes are that more students recognize that advocacy and awareness while in recovery is a really empowering way to help motivate and sustain recovery. I think the number of students that I've watched graduate over the years who are walking across the stage having taken semesters off to go to treatment and came back and recognizing that that is a possibility and meeting other students who have had what they might consider to be very unique and individual, ways of going through college because of their eating disorder, you suddenly find that there are an infinite number of paths to really achieving and succeeding in what you do. So I would love to see the organization continue to reach students in the way that they have, from doing panels with our RAs and our staff members and sharing their stories and experiences to help them help other students, to hosting large-scale initiatives like Need a Week and really being a driving vocal force of students who are really changing the whole conversation around eating disorders, because there's faces behind it, and there's students who are willing to put themselves out there in support of both one another and helping other students who will come after them. So, to Freddi and Rachel's point, I wanted to see the organization grow and more students become involved. I really just think it's a really inspiring thing as an administrator to see just such a really empowered group of students, with a very recovery-focused message out there. And I'm very excited to continue to advise them, hopefully for many years.
Definitely. Well, that's such a powerful message to hear, and we're so inspired by what you guys are doing because, I think it's so important. The college group is such an important population, and there's often so many transitions that make it more difficult for students who are struggling. But like you said, Greg, that there's a lot of different pathways that a lot of students might not be aware of, and just even promoting that message helps someone come forward and seek out the help that they need. Freddi, did you want to add anything? I'm sorry we lost you. Oh, we still can't hear you. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, to kind of conclude things for tonight, Rachel, can you tell us where someone might be able to find out more about Speak at George Washington? Where can they follow you guys on social media and all of that good stuff?
Sure. So our website, of course, is speakgw.com. Our Twitter handle is @speak_GW, and our Instagram is speak_GW. So those are really and our Facebook page at SpeakGW. Those are really, I'd say, the 4 main social media networks that we use. And we're on it very frequently. I noticed throughout the conversation there was tweeting going on, so we're fairly active. So I would say those are the places that you can find us. most easily.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just for our viewers, we also have a Twitter chat next week on Tuesday with, I believe, you and Laura, right? And we are going to delve more into Speak a little bit on Twitter as well. So we're looking forward to that event. Well, thank you so much again to each of you for taking time out of your day to share with us and just continue to share what you're doing with Speak as an organization. Like I said, it's inspiring and we love what you guys are doing and we're fully supporting you, and we're glad that we can kind of use this channel as a way to help promote what you all are doing on your campus. So thank you for all your hard work and your contributions in the eating disorder community. And again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Freddi. Sorry we lost you at the end there. All right, guys. Well, take good care. And to all of our viewers, if you are in need of any eating disorder resources, feel free to check out our website at eatingdisorderhope.com. And we also have our upcoming events posted there. Like I said, we have our Twitter chat scheduled next week with Speak, as well as some other great things coming up for NEDA week. So we'll hope you join us. Thank you again, guys. Have a great night.
You too. Take care.
Bye.